in the chat. We have over 600 people registered for this webinar. So let me know that you can hear me okay in the chat. Good morning. Good morning, Sophia, Lakita. Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay? My audio is all right? Let me know. And I'm just going to check Facebook and make sure I'm live there too. Hang on one second. And YouTube and Facebook. Yep, it looks like I'm live. Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, I'm so glad that you guys are here with me today. My name is Kathleen Jasper, and I write test prep books. And for the last 8 years, I've been helping teachers and leaders, school leaders, pass their certification exams and get hired. And so today we're going to be working on the teacher resume. And I'm just so thrilled to be doing this. This is something that I'm pretty passionate about. And I thought, it's that time of year. You guys are, going to job fairs and you are submitting your resumes for the following year. Some of you are trying to change schools. Some of you are brand new to teaching and have never applied for a teaching position. And so, I'm here to help you with all of that. And so this is like the right time of year to be doing this. And it just kind of hit because there's a lot of people signed up for the webinar. So good morning, Paul, Laura, great. People from Pennsylvania, Delaware. That's amazing. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for being here. You can talk in the chat a little bit. I will look at the chat periodically, but I'm going to be concentrating on the webinar here. But I have this new software I'm using, and it's got polls and all this kind of crazy stuff. So I am going to actually try a little poll here to see, and let me just activate the poll. And let's see who's in here. So are you a brand new teacher? Or no, sorry, this is the wrong poll. The poll is, are you familiar with me? So I'm going to introduce myself again one more time. Are you brand new here? If you are, welcome. Have you seen me on YouTube and used my resources there? Or do you have the online courses and things like that? So I don't know if you can see the poll. Let me know. And click this. I don't even know. Oh, okay. I guess I could publish results. Oh, I think I published it too soon. Anyways, 100% have my resources. All right, we're going to do another poll. Sorry, I'm like learning this new software here. So we have another poll coming up and I'm just using it to experiment a little bit. But anyways, my name's Kathleen Jasper. And for the last 8 years, I've been helping teachers pass their certification exams. I have test prep books and online courses. I also help prospective school leaders pass their exams and get hired in those positions. And today we're talking about the teacher resume. Now, just a quick background on me, so you know I'm qualified to give you this kind of advice. I started off like a lot of you. I was hired as a substitute teacher in the middle of the year. Somebody had retired, and I got to join in January, and I had full load, just like some of you. I was a substitute. And I was doing everything that a teacher was doing, and I was getting substitute pay. So you can let me know in the chat if you are one of those where you are doing all the duties of a teacher, but you haven't yet been hired as a teacher. So you're getting the abysmal pay of a substitute. And so I will, help you get the resume ready so that you can get that teacher pay that you guys need. And so then later the following year, I became a high school biology teacher and a high school English teacher and a high school reading teacher. So my experience is at the high school level. And while I was doing that, I was going to graduate school and I was taking my certification exams. So I totally know what you guys are going through with trying to work. Maybe you guys are in school still and you're trying to take your certification exams and you're trying to take care of your families and all of that. And so that can be really, really daunting. And so today I hope you get a little bit of value here that makes getting that job a little bit easier. So today is the resume course. Next weekend, I'm doing a free interview course. So we're going to start with the document today, and then we're going to move to the actual interview next weekend. And I'll talk about that at the end of this webinar. All right. It looks like some people says they're a permanent sub this year. Yes, pursuing the full-time stuff. We've got people from London in here. This is so great. Somebody passed their leadership exam this summer. That is wonderful. So glad you guys are here. Okay, we're going to try another poll. Let me just put this up. Okay, send to stream. We're going to open poll. And here you'll see, are you a substitute? Are you full-time? Or are you a paraprofessional here? So let me know that. This webinar is going to help all of you. So it doesn't matter what level of teaching you have. In fact, we're going to do a Q&A at the end, and you guys will be able to ask me some specific questions. I'll do my best to answer as many as possible. And so we'll be able to talk about that. So some of you are searching for remote educator positions. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, that's a great opportunity. Now working online. Yep, there's a lot of online positions available for sure. Permanent sub. Yes, indeed. That's how I started. Okay. All right. So I'll let this go for a minute, but let me just tell you one more thing. So I became a high school teacher and all of that. And then I had the opportunity to go downtown and work in curriculum and instruction at the district office, which is an amazing job. So once you're into like year 3 or 4 and you're like, man, I want to kind of get out of the classroom, a job in curriculum downtown is an awesome position. I wrote curriculum, I wrote tests. And I designed and conducted tons of teacher professional development at the district level. And what I did there has helped me with what I do now in my business. So I loved that job. That job was amazing. So there are lots of opportunities beyond the classroom. And I can certainly help you guys out with that, do more videos on that. But curriculum is such a cool job, especially if you're one of those teachers who likes to design stuff and outline standards, and you're like a standards nerd and stuff like that. Curriculum is an amazing place to be. And then after that, I was hired back at the high school, as an assistant principal. And so I hired teachers. I sat on committees. I sift through resumes and all of that. And then in my business, I have hired teachers. So I have sat on a lot of teacher committees and things like that. And so I know what they're looking for when you guys submit the resume. We're going to talk about that today. Okay, we're going to publish the results. Okay, so we got a lot of full-time teachers. Awesome. So probably some of you are trying to change schools, maybe work for a new principal, just have some options out there. We got a lot of paraprofessionals too. So you're trying to move from maybe the para position into a full-time teaching position. And I've got some College of Ed graduates. Welcome, welcome. It's going to be a fun ride to enter the workforce and get into education. And then I have a bunch of substitutes as well. All right, sounds good. So let me go ahead and send this. Okay. Awesome. So I'm not going to kill you with PowerPoint, but I do want to have just a little bit of information here. And just to let you know, once this webinar is over at about 1 o'clock, those of you who signed up, you will be able to get all of the presentations and the resources that go with this webinar. So it'll happen at about 1 o'clock. So bear with me. It takes a minute to download the video and things like that. It takes a minute, but you'll get all of this. And I'm going to make sure that all of you are connected. And if you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook right now, or LinkedIn, I think I'm on LinkedIn too. I'm not sure. I rarely use LinkedIn. I know it's bad, but it's boring. But anyways, there should be a description, and in the description is a link to sign up for the webinar. And when you do that, you'll get the email. So if you're catching this live, click the link in the description and sign up, and you'll get all of the stuff, okay, and the replays. All right, so this is part 1 of the 2-part series I'm doing. So this is going to be the resume. Next weekend, same time, different link, but same time, is going to be the interview. And an email went out with all of that, but you will get more emails to remind you and give you the exact link for that. So don't worry about next weekend. Let's focus on today. We're talking about the document. Also, this is recorded. So some of you are, you might experience some tech issues. Your internet might go down. Your kid might get sick. It's all good. You're going to get the recording. Don't worry. I've had a couple of emails from people saying, I can't get on. My internet's down. It's all good. Don't worry about it. You will be able to see this. And if you have to leave early, go ahead, and I'll be here when you get back in a replay. So no worries. And then at the end, I'm going to host a little bit of a Q&A. I received some questions from a Google Doc I sent out to all of you guys on Friday, those of you who signed up before Friday. And there was a Google Doc where you could enter questions. I didn't get very many questions, so I'll be able to get to all of those today. And I'll open up the Q&A in this presentation, and you'll be able to ask questions there. All right. Okay, so now let me know in the chat if you know why I have this pair up here. I put it up here just to see if you guys know what I'm talking about when I talk about the pair. And I'll just start talking a little bit about the 3 essential elements. But if you guys know why I have a pair on this slide, let me know, and I will be super happy if you know what I'm talking about. But today we're going to talk about the 3 essential elements of an impressive teacher resume. And I'm going to go over some of the things that I've seen over the years. I'm sorry, this headphone thing is really annoying. I've seen over the last, 10 years of doing what I do. And I'm going to show you some pitfalls that you need to stay away from. And I'm going to show you some definite, you need to do these things. So I'm going to help you with all of that. And looks like nobody knows what the pair is, but that's okay. I'll explain in a second. So the pair. So very, very quickly. Oh, Marvin, super fan. Thank you so much. Marvin saved me. Okay, yes. The pair, I started doing watercolor, and I promise to connect this to your resume. Do not worry, I'm not going off on a huge tangent here. And I started doing watercolor in like August. And of course, like many of you, I wanted to be the perfect watercolor artist the minute I picked up the paints and painted anything. And of course, that is not what happens. And my pairs looked like amoebas. They were terrible. It was awful. And I had to keep painting the pair and painting the pair and painting the pair until finally, like 5 months later, I had a pair that looks remotely okay here in this picture. And so the reason why I talk about that, and I talk about that in my new book, Teach, a Survival Guide for New Teachers. And it's all about the fact that we are new at things, and it's okay to be new at things. It's okay to be a new teacher and to stumble and fall. You're not going to be you're not going to paint the perfect pair the moment you pick up the paintbrushes, and you're not going to have the perfect classroom management. You're not going to have the perfect resume. You're not going to have the perfect interview. Most of the interviews I've had, I've left there going, "Oh my God, that was a disaster. I'm an idiot," you know. But the point is, you got to keep trying and trying, and eventually you'll have a pair that kind of looks real with a shadow and all of that. And so today, hopefully, I'll help you kind of get the outline of the pair, and you'll be able to relate to that. So, anyways, it's kind of a dumb metaphor, but for me, I was already good at teaching. I was already good at this thing because this is what I've been doing my whole career. And I wanted people to know, who were reading the book, Teach, a Survival Guide for New Educators, that everybody's a beginner at something. Everybody's a beginner. And there are a lot of problems with this pair. It looks kind of good, but if you're a watercolor artist, you can see where it's a little overworked and a little bit problematic in areas. So anyways, thank you for knowing what the pair is. And some of you are saying in the chat that you bought my book, so I really appreciate that. And let's move on. All right, so learning objectives for today. Of course, we're educators. We always have objectives. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to take the job description and pull out these keywords and make sure they're on your resume. We're going to also apply best practices so that you can avoid common mistakes and that you can make sure your resume has the things it needs. And then I'm going to review 2 resumes live online so you can see how I edited them. And so I feel like you got to learn by doing. And so that's what we're going to do today. It is not going to be death by PowerPoint. Don't worry about it. Lori says my book is great. Thanks, Lori. I really put myself out there with the book. I was scared to publish it, but I'm so glad I did. So, all right, a simple resume, please, 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 is all you need. Remember, your resume is probably being uploaded. You're not handing it a hard copy to somebody. You are uploading it to a system that only reads in black and white, that only produces PDF documents. It may not see images. You know, we're talking about district software here, and it's not always that great. And so usually, and this was in my experience, we would get the resumes in a hub, an online hub, and we would basically just download them and print them out on a black and white computer or a black and white printer. Because remember, this is the district. We don't have color printers, right? If you have a color printer, you're either the business teacher, you're the computer teacher, or I don't know how you got a color. You brought it in yourselves. You bought it yourselves, because you're not getting a color printer in public education these days. So remember that when you're doing this. A lot of bells and whistles, they look cool, but what we want is substance, okay? So we need to keep it simple. Of course, we're going to need your contact information. You don't need your full address. I don't think you need to put your full address on the resume. You need your city and state, your email, phone number. And then if you're active on LinkedIn and you want to show maybe some of the things you've done on LinkedIn, by all means, put that in. It's certainly not required, but it is optional. And if, maybe you've seen the principal on LinkedIn, maybe you've seen the group on LinkedIn, maybe you want to show that you're there too. That's great, but it's not mandatory, okay? Now, the most important part is the experience. When I was filtering through resumes, all I cared about was the experience. I looked at that before education because I know if you're a full-time teacher right now, you have a bachelor's degree because you can't be a full-time teacher in my state, at least, and in most states, I think every state, but I don't know. You can't do that without a bachelor's. And so the experience needs to be right at the top, right where the job, the person who's interviewing is looking. Okay. And that's really where we're going to focus all of our efforts. And then, of course, education and training. But with the training, we want to keep it relevant to the teaching position. Okay. I don't want to sift through a bunch of training that has absolutely nothing to do with teaching. All right. All right, let's go here. So these are the 3 essentials you need, and that's the name of the webinar, 3 essentials for impressive teacher resume. The first one is 1 page. Guys, one page. Think of this document as the entryway to the interview. The interview is where you explain all this other stuff. It's not done with the resume. The principal, the assistant principal, the interview committee, they are slammed. And this is how it works. This is how it worked with me. At some point of the day when we were hiring teachers, let's say it's this time of year, so we're sifting through resumes, the principal would call us on the radio and say, come on down, we're gonna go through resumes real quick. So I had to stop everything I'm doing, putting out fires, kids smoking in the bathroom. Now it's vaping in the bathroom, pulling them out, putting them in the ISS room, trying to get this teacher what she needs, all that. And then I'm running into the principal's office and he's handing me a stack of resumes, okay? When I get a resume that's 3 pages long, I die on the inside. I don't have time to read it. When I see a 1-page succinct resume, it means you respect my time and you know that I only have 6 seconds to look at this resume. That's how long they look at your resume. 6 seconds before they go, yes, no, yes, no. So you only have 6 seconds. If you have a dissertation or a rendition of War and Peace as your resume, you are behind. So 1 page, easy to read, that experience right at the top, and it's going to be better for you. The other thing is it needs to be an experienced, focused resume. You're going to want to talk about using data to make decisions, working with teams, and communicating with parents. And I'm going to get more specific on that. And then 3, easy to read, simple format. Like I said before, all the bells and whistles are really pretty when you see it on the computer. However, it's being downloaded and printed on a black and white printer. So let's keep it simple. All right, things to avoid. Employment that is not relevant to the job. Now, that doesn't mean that if you've never taught before, that you shouldn't put employment that you have now. So let's just say, for example, let's say you're an accountant and you want to become a teacher. You're sick of being an accountant. You want to try teaching math, all right? And obviously, you would want to put your accounting position in there, but you want to gear it towards teaching, right? You want to maybe talk about how you helped educate your clients on the do's and don'ts of taxes. I don't know. I'm not an accountant. Thank God, I'd be the worst accountant. And that kind of thing. So everything needs to be relevant. So those action verbs, and we'll see them in a minute, are all going to be related to the position that you're trying to get. All right. Now, you're also going to want to avoid honors that are not relevant. I know you guys are proud of your accomplishments, and I'm proud of you too. However, if you were National Honor Society in 1988, I don't care. I don't care. Unless it's the Golden Apple Teacher Award or Teacher of the Year or something very much related to the teaching job, maybe you're a board certified teacher, I don't want to see it on the resume. It's taking up valuable real estate, okay? Leave it out. You can talk about it in the interview, okay? But we don't want to put it on the resume. And then anything unnecessary that takes up valuable real estate, i.e. the objective statement. You don't need an objective statement. I know you are applying for your goal is to acquire a reading position at the school because you're applying for a reading position at the school. You don't have to tell me in the first 8 lines of your resume. So get rid of that objective statement. It's just taking up real estate on your exam. All right. Okay. So now what we're going to do is let me know in the chat if you have any questions. Looks like you guys are just listening. Okay, sounds good. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go through a job description so you can have a look. And this one is a pretty detailed job description. So let me share my screen here. Okay, this is for a social studies teacher. And hopefully you can see my screen. Let me know. Yep, looks like we're good. Okay. So I just went on Google and looked up social studies teacher. Okay. I don't know where this is or whatever, but this particular job description is very detailed, and that's good. A lot of people see a job description like this and they're like, oh my God, it's too much. This actually gives you a lot of stuff to work with when you're building your resume. All right. So we have accountability. Look at the keywords: accountability, student centered. You know, I love the good words, guys, if you've been watching my videos. Okay. Aligned to the academic goals and objectives, aligned to the standards, leadership, best practices, disaggregating and monitoring progress monitoring reports. That's data, benchmark data, always. Collaboration professionally and to meet company goals or school goals, attend professional development. We have here again, attendance goals and all of that. So you're going to want to pull those keywords out of the job description and put them in your resume so that when the software is sorting your resume, it's picking up on those keywords. And so if this is the job description, this is probably put into their database. And so when they pull resumes, they're pulling resumes based on how much of your resume has this language in it. Now, that doesn't mean you should copy and paste this into your resume. This means you should be pulling out some of these good words. And I'm going to show you how to do that with one page, because if you were to use all this in your resume, you'd be 3, 4, 5 pages because you'd have to put this under each job. And so we're not going to do that. We're going to make it a nice, succinct resume there. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to revise a resume so you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, here's one more thing. Let's say you're applying for a job and the description is not that great. Like I've seen a few teaching positions where it's just like teaching position and there's no real job description. That's okay. You can use what I'm going to be talking about today in your resume. We always want to be doing things aligned to the state standards. As a principal or assistant principal, I want to know that you're using the academic standards. Funny story, I didn't even know what a standard was when I got hired. I didn't know what standards were until like 6 months into my job. But you know, if you see my videos on YouTube, that standards are important. Also, you're going to want to talk about, how you use data to make instructional decisions. You are going to want to talk about how you collaborate with colleagues, because schools are all about collaboration. You're going to want to talk about how you do things aligned to school goals. You are going to want to talk about communication with parents. All right. Now, let me go ahead and share my screen. It's going to give a little infinity effect because they don't allow me to share a window. So I'm going to share here. And hopefully you can see this particular resume there. Yeah, you can. Can you? Yes. Okay. Sorry for the confusion. I can't see when I share this way. I can't see what's going on. Okay. So this is a resume that was submitted to me. So I put out a little feeler out there. A couple of emails came back. I said, hey, if you want me to rip apart your resume and you have a thick skin, send me your resume. And I got a couple of really good ones that I wanted to revise. Now, this resume here looks really pretty. I love the green. I love how the first name up here is like a lighter gray and this is like a dark black, and so it looks really pretty. It's aesthetically pleasing. It is too long, but it is pretty. Now, remember what I said, we're printing out this resume. This green isn't going to show up. It looks good online, but it's not going to show up when I have it in my hand. This green is going to turn into like a light gray and it might even be unreadable. So I would say keep everything black, especially when you're applying for a teaching position. Because, if you're applying at Google and they got all kinds of crazy software, yeah, you can make a crazy resume. But you're applying at the schools and they only have certain applications to read this stuff. The other thing here, we have a relatively long objective statement. And she talks about, it's a really nice story, actually. She talks about 2 promises she made. One was to a college professor and the other was for the students and all of that. But look at how much real estate this is taking up on the exam. This is something that we can talk about in the interview, all right? Not on the document. This is wasting time and space. No offense. It's a really nice story, but it's not relevant here. This is what I want. This is what I want right here, the experience. I want to lead with the experience. But the problem is a couple things. It's done in paragraph form here, which if you are sifting through resumes, now I got to hunt. It's not laid out properly for me. Also, she has a contact person here. You don't need that. She also had a contact list at the end of this resume, which tacked on another page. Here's the thing. Contact or references, bring that to the interview with you and hand it to the principal. You don't need to attach it to the resume because we're not in the reference stage yet. The reference stage comes after the interview. So don't tack it on your resume, have it printed out, have a couple copies of it printed out, hand it to the principal, the assistant principal, and say, here are my references if you're interested in contacting people. Don't put their information in your resume because, again, it takes up space. And then we can see here that she's been a full-time teacher. These two positions are full-time teaching positions, and then it goes on to substitute teaching positions. So I want to clean this up here. And I also noticed, and I did this too, when we write our resume and we have two similar jobs, like this is a first grade teacher and this is a third grade teacher, we try to like do the job duties here, and then we try to reword it here, in a different way so that it's not repetitive. So I started playing around with this particular formatting that I've been using, and I really like it. I'm going to show you how that works in just a second. So we're going to clean all this up, and we're going to make it easier to read, and we're going to get rid of this objective statement just to show you how much this is in the Word document here. So the one thing she did that was really good is she did it in a Word document, and then she locked it down as a PDF. So if you're going to upload your resume, make sure you save the Word document as a PDF because that locks everything down. If you upload a Word document, sometimes through the downloading process, things can shift. So she did it in Word and then she locked it down with PDF. All right, now let's have a look at this here. Notice this first part here is taking up like 33% of the front page, and it is not necessary. This name is huge. And it's great, you want your name to be on there, but why waste valuable space on your name? They're going to know your name. And so this is just too much. So I'm going to show you how to shrink this, put it up in the header, and then totally delete this. Now, she also used text boxes here to organize, which is cool. And she used tables. And maybe she saw my video on how to use tables for your resume. But this is all, let me show you layout lines. These are all tables in here. And what that does is it helps to line up the words. Now, her formatting is still a little bit crazy because she uses the space bar here. Notice I turned on my formatting tool, and I'm gonna be doing a course on resumes that's more in depth and formatting. I'm going to show you that this is like a no-no here. But overall her formatting looks pretty good. Okay. And she's used these tables to organize her information. So well done there. So what I did was I just cleaned it up. So let's turn this off. It's too much. Let's turn this off. Okay. Here's what I came up with for her. So I took her name and I only made it 2 lines here instead of this giant name here. Look at all this space here. And I stuck it up into the header. Now, the way you do that is you just double click way at the top and you can add information up here, and it doesn't take up the actual page document area. All right. And I just do the city and state, the phone number, and the email. And I put that all in one line with these little, I don't know what these are called, but little lines spacing them out. That saves me real estate. So I can talk about the stuff that the principal cares about. Remember, 6 seconds. 6 seconds. So if I'm looking at this within 6 seconds, I know that for the last couple of years, she has been a full-time teacher. Boom, I need a first grade teacher. I need a fourth grade teacher. I need an elementary teacher. Okay, this person is a good candidate. I might go to the yes pile just from that. My principal was so busy. He rarely read anything past 3 lines of his emails. So if you didn't say what you needed within the first 3 lines, he wasn't reading it. And so this tells me right away, boom, I am a teacher right now. And these are the positions I've had. And so what I've done is I've combined the duties for a first grade teacher and the duties for a third grade teacher are the same, pretty much. And so we have here design and deliver engaging lessons aligned to the state standards. Those are those keywords. Establish routines and procedures for class. That tells me classroom management. And if you're a first or third grade teacher, or any grade level for that matter, you're going to want to do that. Use data to inform decisions. Here we have our modifications: modify, accommodate, and differentiate based on students' IEPs. That tells me you have experience with not only reading students' IEPs and understanding, but you're able to modify and accommodate. That's a huge thing. I'm probably looking for that if I'm a principal of a public school. Work with students to set achievement goals. Facilitate whole group and small group instruction so she can differentiate. Again, we've got that here. Establish relationships with parents by communicating effectively. Work with colleagues. Again, that collaboration with colleagues. You could even put, instead of work, you could put collaborate with colleagues to increase student achievement. Another good word. And this particular teacher, she is bilingual, which is a plus. Support bilingual education. Now you may say, well, why'd you put that at the bottom? Look how this stands out. Support bilingual education. Yeah, it's at the bottom of the bullets, but I know because I've been learning a lot about email marketing and things like that. Their eyes go to the bottom as well. They go to the top and they go to the bottom. And supporting bilingual education is super important. And this bullet right here stands out to me. So 6 seconds, boom, bilingual. Yes, pile. Yes, pile. We need bilingual teachers. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so this has basically taken these two positions here and combined the duties here. Another thing that's happening here, we have action verbs, design, establish, use, modify. They're all in the same tense. They're not one past tense, one present tense, one present perfect tense. Work, facilitate, establish. This one I probably changed to. That's not how you spell collaborate. There we go. Collaborate, support, all action verbs here. All right. So now when I go back to her resume, and that's what I did, I pulled these two out and I basically went in here and I could see she's got good stuff here: expectations and routines, small groups, preparing daily lessons. What I would include there is aligned to the state standards. There's these little buzzwords you can use that are going to help with that. And then, of course, the same stuff is going on here: modification, working in small groups, evaluation, good parent and student relationships. I basically just took those two things and combined them all right here. Top of the resume, 6 seconds. The principal knows, boom, this person needs an interview for sure. Then what I did was she actually was a substitute teacher much longer than she was a regular teacher, according to her resume, a full-time teacher. So I combined the substitute teaching and the supportive positions, because when you're a sub and you're a support teacher, you're doing the same thing. You are supporting the main teacher. So I went ahead and did my next thing here is, so up here was full-time. Right here is support and substitute teaching experience. Still very important. We want to keep it on there because it shows you've been doing this a while. You've been in the classroom, whether you were a sub or a full-time teacher, since 2008. So you have experience, which is really important. And then I put all of them here with their dates, and you don't need days. You just need months and years. And probably I could have taken this out and done this too, but I wanted them to kind of match so it looks a little bit better. But you don't need months when you're talking years and years. And then I also deleted, she had something here from 1994. It's, we're talking 30 years ago. Let's take it out. All right. It's still important. You can talk about it in the interview. You can talk about, I've been doing this since 1994 or 1991. Yeah. So more than 30 years ago. So, keep that out though. We need something a little more current. And then of course I have assist, collaborate, cooperate, facilitate. Again, I showcase the bilingual education. Again, establishing routines. So not only have you assisted in classroom management, you've actually done classroom management, which is high on my list if I'm looking for a teacher. And then facilitate whole group, small group instruction again. Then I get to the education. Why'd you put the education at the bottom? Well, because if you're a first grade teacher, I know that you have a bachelor's. You don't have to tell me right away. So now I go here and say, okay, notice that I lead with the certification first. I want to know before, to be honest with you, if I'm principal, I want to know what your certifications are before I even care about any of this. Like you need to have a bachelor's, but what I'm looking for are certified teachers I can put in the classroom. And so this tells me right here that she is anticipated in the spring 2024. I made this up. I saw that hers was in progress. I don't know when this particular person is going to be done, but you do want to put the date of when you plan to have your full teacher certification. But notice here too, elementary education. This is the test in Texas, EC6. She's passed it. And then the bilingual is in progress. So I know, okay, her full certification is in progress and is anticipated here. But this also tells me she's passed one test already. This one and that one. Okay, perfect. See, we can do this. All right, new messages. Let's see here. Let's see, we missed a couple. Looks beautiful and simple. Love the dates on the right side of the bullets. Should I include a cover letter? Okay, the cover letter. So let me talk about that really quickly. Let me stop. Let me go back to like here. Okay. The cover letter. So I'm still on here. Hang on. Take that off. Sorry, guys. Oh, there we go. Okay. The cover letter. So the cover letter is important, but a lot of times they won't even look at the cover letter. Some will. Some will read the cover letter, some won't. That's going to be totally separate. And I do recommend keeping that to just a couple of paragraphs. You can talk a little bit about, your experience and things like that. But what we want to do is focus more on the resume and the experience, because that's what I care about in the initial phase. So if it requires a cover letter, yes, I do have a video on YouTube about a cover letter, but really the document for this particular profession, it's the resume and what we're doing there. I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. Should I show that in the resume? Okay. I had this question about somebody else. So we'll do this Q&A right here. I had somebody ask me real quick. Okay, same thing. I had somebody say, I graduated in 2018, and just before graduation, a family member became ill, and I took care of the person. And Trina is saying that she was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. Well, you could totally put that as experience, but do you use data to make decisions in your family? Do you manage lots of things going on, like insurance? And for this person as a caretaker, there were probably doctors that she or he had to manage. They're definitely using different health data to decide what to do, communicating with other parents. You can put that in there. It is a job. And if you want to showcase it and outline it like you would for a resume for a teaching position, there are plenty of things that you do in this job that could convert over, communicating, collaborating, if you were caregiving to somebody, you're obviously using a set of standards, caregiving standards. You probably educated yourself on caregiving and things like that. So definitely work that in. Yes, you can put that in there. In fact, if I saw that on a resume, I'd be like, oh, stay-at-home mom, and this is the stuff she did there. Let's see here. Is Canva a good tool? Canva is a good tool to make resumes with. So let me stop that here. Let me go back here. Canva is a good tool. They have a lot of graphics. The only thing is, I like Canva. I use it a lot. If you were going to print your resume and hand it to somebody, Canva is a really good tool. But I just worry that when you upload it to a district website, that you're not going to get all not everything will come in. And so that's why, like, a simple Word document, I usually have 2 resumes. I'll have like a really simple document, and then I'll have a jazzy one. And then you can give the jazzy one at the actual interview, because remember, when you go in for your interview, you're going to want to have a copy of your resume. And so you could say, hey, thanks for the interview. You had my resume before, but this one is a little bit more detailed if you want to have a look at that. And you could pass that out to the people in the room, which would show that you are organized and creative. So you could use Canva, I would say, as your second resume when you have the interview, and you can give that to them. Okay, how can a paraprofessional show the strengths in the resume? Well, a paraprofessional, you guys, you support teachers. You use data every day to make decisions about your students, especially those who need care. I had paraprofessionals in my room that that had students who were in wheelchairs and things like that. You are adhering to a set of standards, certainly special education standards, language standards if you're a language paraprofessional. So you're doing all of those things, but you're just doing it in a support position. So make sure you can still do all that, but you're just supporting, not just supporting, you are supporting. That's like a really important role. So take all that stuff. You're using data, you're collaborating, you're reading IEPs. If you're a special education para, you're sitting on IEP teams. That goes in the resume, that goes at the top. So you're an asset. The paras know a lot, sometimes more than the teachers and the assistant principals, because the paras are the ones talking to the parents all the time. If you are a special ed para or a language para, so you have what it takes. So put that at the top of the resume. That experience is really important. Kristen, I have heard that in experience, I need to not only use action verb, but also give a specific example of what I did, such as establish routines and procedures using. Okay, yes, you could do that. For the sake of space, I would keep it simple. So Kristen here in the chat has something good. She said, use an action verb and then go further than just that. So establish routines and procedures using PBIS, positive behavior and sports. So that would be good, but that's just a couple extra words on the end. Don't go into a long dissertation so that I could blah, 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 blah. No, using PBIS, great, because you might be applying to a PBIS school. And so that's wonderful. Yes, good point there. Okay, yes. Now, I was going to show you one more resume. We're running out of time, but let me show you one more resume here. Okay, let me go. Let's bring it over here. Okay. Let me send, okay, we're sending to stream. Okay, so, and let me get rid of my face here so the resume is bigger. Maybe not. Okay, so you can see here that this resume, this was actually several pages. This one is from somebody who is from London. And so they say different things in London. They say things like maths with an S, and they spell things a little bit differently. So don't pay attention to any of that if you're confused about that. But this one, look it up here. This right here, it's almost half the page. Do you see that top area, first name, and then the mobile, and then the personal profile? That's half the page. Get rid of that, okay? And then we go down here, and some of this is a little confusing because you can see under these bullets, it's formatted nicely, but it says I gained more knowledge, I utilize, I use, I developed. We have developed past tense verb, utilize, and that's how they do utilize in the UK, so it's not misspelled. We would use a Z, but they use an S. Our S's and Z's are switched out in words like this for people in the UK versus people in the United States. But we have a past tense verb here with gained in that first bullet. We have use, present tense, and then we have past tense. Make sure your bullets are parallel. They all have the same tense. And you can see here, interests. Okay, I love that this person is talking about traveling and things like that, but this is for the interview. This is not for the resume. This is too long. This is too long for me. I need one page. And so what I did for this one, let me see. Yes. Okay, there it is. I turned this one into a similar format. Now nope, that's the wrong one. Hang on. There we go. Okay, so this particular teacher or aspiring teacher looks like he or she has been in a more of an education role, meaning that this person has been learning to teach and has also been a support teacher more than a full-time teacher. So some of you have not been a teacher yet. So I still call it teaching experience here at the top. I apologize, I can't use my cursor in this view mode here, but I'm going to tell you where to go with your eyes. So at the top, you see that I totally changed the first name and last name. It's not taking up. Is it blurry, you guys? Oh, geez. Let me try again. Let me see. All right, let me do this. Let me go. Let's see if we can just share entire screen. Let me go to, let me bring it right there. Okay. Let me go back to here. Okay, boom. Okay, can you see this? Looks like you can. All right, I'm going back into Word and we'll see how that works with the software. So it looks like I'm going to switch back real quick. Yes, it looks like you can see. Okay, quickly. This person here, I really reduced the name. You can see that it's in the header up here. Also, I'm using tables to organize. You can see this is all a table. And in the layout, I can erase the grid lines and you can see this here. Now, this teaching experience, this person is a support teacher, but they've supported in a really cool way. Like they're a modern language teacher. And so that's really important to me. Again, I've got this support bilingual education in here. And so this person, even though he or she was a substitute teacher, they call it a support teacher and a teaching assistant and a course supervisor, this is all still got those buzzwords. You're still aligning things to the state standards. You're still working inclusion and behavior management. That I pulled that out of the resume. I love those words. You're using data to inform decisions. Again, here, modifying and differentiating based on students' specific needs, setting achievement goals, all of that works. Then this student or this person was a teacher observer. So I like the experience here, but I do want to include the fact that this person observed for about, 8 months. That's experience too. And so I put that in here as this person was a lesson observer. I guess this is something they do in the UK. I don't know much about it, but this person observed people implementing MFL, a modern foreign language, and observed. These are all important skills. So you've learned, you observe. That's good. And then I have some volunteer experience here. Again, observing and learning and helping and assisting, that's all important. This is most important. That's why it's half the page. The objective statement is not most important. This is what I want to see, 6 seconds. And then I have the education. A PGCE, I looked it up, is like the same as a master's in the United States. So we want to put that at the top, and then a BA. And then they have the secondary teaching certificate back in, I know it's 1988, and that's a long time ago, but it's a secondary teaching certificate. I don't know how long they're good for, but either way, I thought it was relevant. Yes, it's more than 20 years ago, but still, I liked it, so I kept it in. So I went from that really long, kind of clunky resume to something much cleaner, and the dates here. You don't need the days, just the month and the year, okay? All right, so hopefully, let me stop. Let me go back to here. Okay. Overlay. Let's get that out of here. Hide poll. Okay. So how did you create the division in lines? Okay, I'm graduating next month. Okay, let me just take a couple minutes to do this. I was going to open up the Q&A. Let me see how this works. You guys are like my guinea pigs. Okay, I'm opening up the Q&A. I don't know if you can see it on your screen. I will take some Q&As here on the right-hand side from the audience. But let's see if I can bring this into here. No, hang on. I'm so sorry, you guys. This is crazy. Give me 1 second. Bringing me in here. And then I'm going to bring the Q&A in here. Add to scene. There we go. Send to stream. All right, I just added the Q&A into here, and we'll see if it works. Either way, you can put it in the chat too. Okay, I'm graduating next month and already have passed my exams. I have 5 years sub and para experience, but I have also done long-term maternity leave positions. How would you rate that? Okay, good question, Tiffany. She's got a lot of experience in different areas, long-term sub at the top, because that's going to trump. I don't know. It depends. Here's how 2 ways I would look at it. Okay. So she's been a para and a sub, and she's also had long-term maternity positions where she filled in for teachers who were out on maternity. So she was in the classroom for longer periods of time. Typically on a resume, you want to take the most recent job and put it at the top. So I don't know if that maternity leave position was the most recent, but you could lump it together like I did, where, you know how you say you have 5 years sub experience? you could put that long-term sub experience at the top because that shows me you've been in the same class over and over again, and that kind of trumps the regular sub position. So I would say that, but you have a lot of experience in all the things I talked about today. So make sure you put that in your resume. Very good. How do you create the division of lines in the header? I'll talk about that in a second. So the thing is that I'm using a formatting skill, and we don't have time to talk about that today. I do have a course coming up that I'm going to be doing that in. So I'll talk to you about that in just a second, but it's all done in formatting, and formatting can be complicated. So I'm going to be including that in a subsequent resume follow-up course. So we'll talk about that. That's my resume. Oh, yes. Samia is from London. She sent me the resume. Thank you so much. Do you think I should have mentioned in my resume? I was a teacher for 6 years in 1988 before. That's hard because it was so long ago, and then you did all this other stuff. I think you could put that down at the bottom, maybe. You can certainly include it. You could include it at the top. So where I had your teaching experience, you could put that, but make it the last one at the top. So the third one. But yes, you can use it, or you can wait to talk about it during the interview. Tiffany, on my resume, I put that long-term sub positions as notable experience. No, it's teaching experience. Long-term sub positions are teachers. So I would not say notable. It is teaching experience. Put it up at the top and call it what it is, because you're doing all the same things as a teacher. So that's what you got to do. Let's see here. Thank you. Okay, let me go to the Q&A. Let me show the question. Let's see how this works. Okay. Valerie. Oh, I like this Q&A. If I'm a para currently working at a school, I will be applying to after student teaching. Would my resume look any different than what you showed? If I'm a para currently working at a school, I will be applying to after student teaching. No, I think that your para position would be at the top, and that would be teaching experience. Call this teaching experience, you guys. You're a para, you're teaching. If you're a sub, you're teaching. It's teaching experience. Now, if you have actual classroom full-time teaching experience, I would call that full-time teaching experience. And or if you're trying to make your substitute position be the teaching experience, I would just call it teaching experience. And then if you're talking about substituting, I would put that as support or teaching support. But that's only if you have the full-time, fully certified teaching experience. If you're someone who's coming in as a sub, that's teaching experience. Put it in there. Okay. Good, Valerie. Thank you so much. If I taught first technology, fourth kindergarten, and pre-K in 8 years at the same school, do I list this all in my experience? I would list it like I did in that resume, right? I would have it, all of those jobs up at the top, and then I would put the bullets underneath it. Because even though you're teaching first grade technology, fourth grade, you would probably have an extra bullet in there for the technology, like maybe something like designing and executing lessons in accordance to K-12 technology standards. You would add that in there, but you could still do that resume format. Okay, let's go here. Marvin, what's up, Marvin? Should I put my education certification at the top of my resume because I do not have any teaching experience? I would put the certification. You could. I don't know what your other experience is. So if you want to throw that in the chat, I know you just asked a question, but if you want to throw that in the chat, Marvin, I don't know what your actual employment experience is. So you might want to do that. I would definitely do the certifications then, but if you've been a sub, I would put the experience first. All right, let's see here. Really quick, do I put my student teaching experience above my family care work? It depends on when your family care work was. Paul, you might have been the one who talked to me in the Google Docs. Play around with it, see how it works. You might want to put your student teaching above it and then put your care work below it and relate them together with some of those action verbs. You're just going to have to play around a little bit with it. Classroom teachers and reading specialists, some schools in Georgia are looking at reading and dyslexia endorsements for immediate hire due to the focus on structured literacy. What schools look at education first? Oh, okay. If that happens, would schools look at education first? You could certainly put at the top of your resume, like right before you put experience, you could put, if you're applying for one of these positions that's very specific, you can put reading endorsed. I don't know what they're calling the dyslexia endorsement. Maybe that's what it's called. Whatever it's called, you could put that at the top if that's going to help you. What you want to do is you want to gauge what position you're looking for. If you're trying to get a reading specialist and you feel like your reading endorsement is going to get you in the door, well, you can add that at the top line. But remember, we don't want to get lost in a bunch of stuff. I need to know your experience. Let's say I'm making a change from information technology. Well, information technology, you're using data. You're using data. Okay. I am applying for a student teaching position for the fall in Connecticut. Would my resume look the same as applying for a first year teaching experience? Yes, it would. Your student teaching positions, you would probably showcase what you're learning in school. So under those bullets, it might be something like, let me think here, analyze learning objectives and execute studies accordingly or something like that. You can get those buzzwords in there, even if it is your student teaching. And so you can still use the same format. You're just going to change up some of those verbs and some of those things. Okay. Isn't student teaching part of the program? I wouldn't even think to list that. Student teaching should definitely be listed if you are not already a teacher. If you've already been a teacher for 3 years, you don't need to tell me about your student teaching. You're good. You're past that. Okay, we're past that. But if you have never had a teaching job, then you want to showcase your student teaching experience because that's the only experience you have. And so it just depends on what's going on there. How could I format that I did student teaching job along with teaching experience as a para educator? There are different ways you can play around with it. We're going to, again, with the formatting, that's like a whole other course. And I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. But there are ways to move things around. And so I'll talk to you guys. Aspiring teacher that would like advice with teacher fair. Okay. Job fairs and interviews is going to be next week. So I'm going to talk specifically about how to talk on the fly at a job fair and how to stand out at a job fair next week during my interview live webinar. Okay, so just save that question for next week, Sheila. Hopefully I'll see you then. Again, it's going to be the same as this recorded. Just graduated in December and now I'm subbing. Before student teaching, I was a para for 10 years. Should I separate my student teaching from experience? What order do I put the things? I would put your para, just graduated before teaching. I was a para for 10 years. Should I separate my student teaching? Yes, experience should go at the top if it's more relevant here. It all just depends. You have to try it a couple different ways. Okay, we're getting a lot of questions. I really appreciate it, you guys. Okay, so let me hide this question here. Okay, so a lot of you are asking about formatting and how you do this and what about this, and all of you have these very specific questions to your specific thing. So I want you to know that I am doing a paid course for the resume and in the and interview. It's a 2-part series. They're both 2 hours long and it is just focused on these things. So the first one is April 1st, and that is going to be a resume workshop. We are actually going to work on our resumes inside the course, do the formatting. I'm going to show you all the tricks. They're not that difficult, but it does take time to kind of lay that out. I'm going to show you all the tricks to the formatting, several different ways. I'm going to provide you with templates so you can just plug it in and show you ways you can modify. And then the second portion, which is April 8th, another 2 hours, is going to be focused solely on the interview. And we're actually going to do some really good interview prep with specific questions you are going to get. So if you liked this today, that's awesome. And you can just use this. You don't have to come to the paid course. This one's good if you're right there and you're like almost done with your resume and you don't really need help. But if you're someone who needs help, I highly recommend the course that I'm going to be doing. So let me just share that with you here. Let me just show you. Okay. So in the description, there is this link here, and I will also send it out in the email. There's a little video. I always have a video for you guys. And right now, this 2-session course is $159.99. It's 20% off before March 31st. So the discount is automatic. You don't have to put a offer code in there. It's normally $199. but I'm offering it to you guys for 20% off until March 1st. So if early bird special, basically. And so that will help you there. Now, here is everything it comes with, but basically we're going to build a resume together. And by the time you're done with the course, you will have the document. It will be done. It will be formatted. You will know all the tricks. We will tailor it to exactly what you're trying to do. I will be taking questions specifically in the chats. And so we will make that happen. The other one is the teacher interview prep. That's the next one. So the first one's on April 1st, 2 full hours, focused just on that. And then April 8th is the teacher interview. And I'm going to have practice questions for you. We're going to talk about reading and math achievement, how even if you don't have experience, you'll be able to answer those questions and all that. And again, these are recorded, so you can rewatch them as many times as you want. On this page here, I have all the things you're going to get. And then I have, some frequently asked questions here. So you can go ahead and take a look at that. So that is in the description. And I will also send it out in an email and all of that. So if you liked this is a lot of me like kind of talking, answering questions all here. The private session is going to be much more focused on us working together and building your resume. And so it'll help you. Some of these more specific questions will help you there. Okay. So, and if you have any questions, you can always email me at info@kathleenjasper.com. Now, beyond that, if you are someone who really likes, maybe you're new here and you haven't seen my resources and you'd like more, I have a YouTube channel with all kinds of stuff for teacher certification exams. In my playlist here, I have, let's see here. Oh God. I can't find my teacher interview playlist. Where are you? Teacher resume. Here we go. Here's the series. So a while back, I did a series here, and it's got a bunch of different things in it here. So you will be able to check out these older videos, and this will help you too. So check out my YouTube channel. And then also, I have my Facebook group that is in the description, so you can join this. This is for certification exams. We don't talk a lot about resumes here, but I will if you have questions. But this is for any kind of certification prep you guys are having. I talk about, people share different things and ask questions with the group, and so it's all good there. And then I have my normal Facebook page, which is here. And so definitely follow me and whatever. And let's see, I didn't share the right tab, but oh well, you get it. I'm on TikTok now. So I know I'm late to the party. I'm always late to the party, but I am really doing some different things on TikTok. I'm going to try to be a little different on TikTok, maybe not as polished. So I hope you guys will follow me there too, because I'm trying some different things there. I have passed all my exam. Thank you for your material. Thank you so much. This session was so useful. I'm so glad. Is it possible to buy just part 2? I don't think I'm going to split up the parts. So it's a full deal. So, cause we're going to be going over both of those. So, let me see. I don't know. I didn't think about that. So, we'll see about that. I bought your online writing practice course and passed the first time. Yay. Awesome. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to get all the emails ready to go, and you will get this back in a replay. Sorry about the little technical glitch there in the middle of the resume, but hopefully we got what we needed to get there. And remember, you can always email me, info@kathleenjasper.com. And it's me. I'm the one who answers the emails. So you will get a response from me. And I am so grateful you were here today. Thank you so much, you guys. And I hope